for us, the thing that kind of got us here and got us together was a joint mission. We started a business together before we got together, and that's what really, you'll never feel closer to someone than when you're working on something together, right? Like that's why
that creative process.
That creative process, like even like if you're a couple, that time when you're expecting a baby, it's so magical because you're both kind of working towards that thing. And then a lot of couples often lose that spark because it's like, oh wait, we don't have a joint goal or a joint vision together. And I think planning also doesn't have to be, okay, cool, we're both working on the same thing, but it could just be, I know what you're working on and you know what I'm working on, and we're able to support each other, and that's what breeds that connectivity. And we can do an episode at some time later on like how we actually do that planning process together. Yeah, so I think taking the time to kind of do like a good yearly plan really gives you the foundation for a much easier quarterly, monthly, weekly plan.
Yeah, and that's something that it's fundamental to, I guess, who we are. Like, we've always been big believers in planning and goal setting, and actually, I think one of the biggest issues that I used to have and that many people have with planning is actually identifying what should go in the plan. Like, what should be my number one priority, for example, for the year or for the quarter or for the month. And so yeah, for sure, if people want us to go into that in a little bit more detail, then maybe we can do that in a separate episode. Let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because you want to make a plan, but you also want to make sure that the plan is taking you in the direction that you want to go in. Because you can make a bad plan as well that takes you in a completely different direction. So yeah, for us that's been critical.
And I think like just to go into a little bit of detail, we always have like we call it a definite chief aim. So that's the number one goal that we want to achieve for that year. And that is always the same, you know, for each other. And we know that even if I'm doing different work to you, we're both working towards that goal. Like I think the year that we moved to America, that was our definite chief aim, was to move to America. And we know that, okay, cool, the stuff that I'm doing is like making sure like, you know, YouTube's good and we're coming up with ideas so that we have the finances, and you're kind of working with the lawyer and different things like that. It just kind of helps us to stay in sync. And I think you always, if someone asks you the question, oh, what's your husband working on right now? What's your wife working on right now? You always want to have the answer to that question, because again, it breeds togetherness. Like, it's staying married, like it's about fighting to maintain that closeness, and fighting to just like care enough to know what's important to your partner right now, like what's the thing that they're working on right now. So whilst we have like, you know, the same yearly goal, you know, there might be different weeks where like we have different goals. You might be working on your speaking, or it might be for my health. And I think knowing what the other person's working on also allows you to support them, whether it's like emotionally or to do something that makes their life easier. Like I think for me, my goal is to like get back in the gym. So because you know that in the mornings you're like, okay babe, like, you know, yeah, go, I've got this, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's, yeah, it's a love language. Like I think when someone knows that you're working towards something and does something to help you in that direction.
Yeah, and it's just like any organization, right? Like any company will have even different teams that are working on different things. It could be sales, it could be HR, it could be, you know, business development, anyone.
Right.
But they have a strategic objective that the whole company is working toward. But it's still important to know, I don't need to know all the details of what the sales team is doing if I'm in HR. But it's important to know that, hey, you know what, I think they're kind of figuring this thing out as I'm figuring this thing out, because this is the direction that we're going together. So that's what we're trying to bring in to our marriage so that we can move together.